So we're going to get to know Leo a little bit better in his next segment. We're really excited to have Leo as a supporter of the show. He's a founding board member of SDCGO and is an incredible advocate for the Second Amendment. We all need to help each other, and we really need to encourage you to support the business, all the businesses that are supporting the Second Amendment fight, like Leo Hamel. So up next.
But first, did you know that Leo's business just doesn't sell jewelry, but they also buy your jewelry? Leo Hamel's friendly jewelry buyers will buy your jewelry, diamonds, gold, silver, flatware, coins, or Swiss watches for the best possible prices and pay you on the spot. They even buy broken jewelry or watches that aren't running. Why not sell the jewelry or watch that you don't wear and get money to buy a gun that you can shoot? When you sell to Leo Hamel's, not only will you get the best possible price for your valuables, you'll also be supporting the Second Amendment. Support the companies that support the 2A. Call 619-299-1500, or you can visit his website at leohamel.com to find the jewelry buying location near you. Always get awesome service at Leo's. 619-299-1500. Welcome to the show, Leo.
Turn something expensive into something useful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not that jewelry isn't useful.
No, of course not. How you doing, Leo?
Can't get on it and drive it. It's not useful.
It's going good. Thank you,
But that's
Michael.
just me.
Good.
Thank you for having me here.
So if you've watched any TV in San Diego County over the last 20 years, you know who Leo Hamel is. Your commercials are very, very well known. What point? When did you start running commercials?
Just after the last recession, we saw an opportunity to buy things from people, and it was a service, but it also helped us because it built up our estate jewelry business.
Yeah.
We were always in that business, but we really boomed it during the last recession and then just stayed with it.
Are those your granddaughters?
Those are my kids.
I
got married late
They are.
and had kids late.
And you know what I like about that? A couple other businesses in town, they start with their little kids, and it's just freaky. All of a sudden, they're full grown. I mean, a couple of them that I've actually seen grow. Now I'm watching yours grow up. They're adorable. I think that's I think that's a great idea, having them in the commercial.
It is good because it is a family business. But there is the youngest one is a boy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, because he's probably listening right now.
Yeah, he wants you to clarify exactly.
Time for a haircut. No, I'm only kidding.
So
No, he needs a haircut.
6-7 years ago, when we started San Diego County Gun Owners, I heard a story about you, Leo, and you were with another political organization, trying to have a positive effect on politics in San Diego. And I'm going to kind of paraphrase the story. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to kind of paraphrase it. Basically, they said, you brought up the Second Amendment, and they said, we don't really care about social issues, and just kind of blew it off like, who cares? And the story I heard is that you stood up and were pounding your fist on the desk or the table on how important it was that they pay attention to the Second Amendment. And I said, okay, I got to meet this guy. I've seen his commercials. I've heard his name. I got to meet this guy. You were a founding board member, and then I got to tell you, the first couple years, no one had heard of San Diego County Gun Owners. It was just an idea. It was, I was at a booth at a gun show with a clipboard, but I would constantly drop in your name because everybody know. Oh, Leo Hamel. Oh, okay, all right, I'll sign up. It gave us credibility, which is I really thank you for.
Well, that's good.
Did I tell the story pretty accurately?
That happened more than once because at one point I was probably in 6 different political organizations. So I don't remember exactly which one that was, but they always gave the Second Amendment short shrift. It was as if it didn't matter. Yet to me, that's always been the most important one.
Why?
Because the Second Amendment is the foundation for the ability of the people to liberate themselves from a bad government. I mean, that's all it was for. People in Ukraine now might be controversial, but a lot of people say the government that runs Ukraine is a bad government. And some of the Ukrainians, I heard an interview just before the invasion, that the Ukrainians weren't that worried about being invaded because they had rifles. And they said, we've killed Russians before. Let them come again. Yeah. So some Ukrainians aren't afraid of the Russians and are willing to fight back. And that's kind of the foundation of America.
Yeah, well, arguably, Russia is, one of the best militaries in the world. And they're being, held off in a lot of ways. They're taking heavy casualties from the most accurate reporting I can find. They're taking heavy casualties from civilians on the ground with rifles.
And that's what I read early on.
Yeah. So you started out as, how did you start out business-wise?
I was working for another jeweler, and he let me go for a reason that was ridiculous. It was because I sold too much, and I was demoralizing his other salespeople. So he paid me for a month to just figure out something to do, and I started buying and selling secondhand watches and diamonds out of the newspaper. And then I immediately from there, and the good tie-in with the Gun Owners Radio is I really sold at gun shows for about the first 4 years.
Yep.
I would set up half the table with jewelry and watches, the other half with guns, and people would trade both ways. And I got to be known as the guy that had the watches. This was 35 years ago when you wouldn't find a watch at a gun show.
Now, why? So backing up, why were you so good at selling jewelry?
I have no idea.
Really? I mean, what was like what chord do you strike with people on jewelry? What do you think the secret is?
I think I just tell them the truth. When the first month that I was selling jewelry, I knew absolutely nothing. I couldn't believe the guy hired me. But when people would walk in, a lady would come in and say, "Can I see that sapphire ring?" And I'd say, "Which one is that?" And then I'd pull it out and ask her to tell me about it. And that's how I learned. I learned from the customers.
Huh.
And
So can you sell anything, Leo, or
I've only tried
that you
selling
wanted
a
to?
few things. Probably could. I mean, I've always said a good salesperson can make a living anywhere in the world, anytime.
that's what I'm thinking? Yeah.
The top 5% will always be employed. Top 10% will always find a job.
So you know found success. How many stores do you have now?
We have one big jewelry store in downtown San Diego near the airport.
Yep.
And then we have 4 buying offices around the county.
And you guys it's a fantastic business. And you guys, the employees I've met, you have employees that have been with you for a long time.
Some close to 30 years.
30 years. I mean, that's amazing. That says something. I really, truly believe, especially in an industry like jewelry. I don't think that there's that kind of loyalty in some industries. And I don't think that there's a lot of jewelry shops around with a lot of employees that have been around for 30 years.
No, in retail, people change often.
Yeah.
In fact, this is kind of a slur on mall stores, but I'll just say it on mall stores of any type. If you walk into a mall, the lady who's selling you a pair of shoes was probably selling slacks at a different store the day before, and the jeweler was probably selling shoes the week before.
Yeah.
You know, they're just salespeople, and good salespeople always find a job. But at our store, we sell jewelry, we deliver the right product, we do it at the right price, and that just keeps bringing people back.
Well,
So-
I just stepped out, so I don't know if
go
it
for
came
it.
up, but the reason people stay with an employer is because of the way they're treated.
Is that why? Do you treat them well?
I totally
I would assume so because they're staying.
still stay. I mean, because let's face it, any one of your people are well knowledgeable enough to go anywhere,
Oh, they could easily get jobs elsewhere.
or even go open their own business if they wanted
I've
to.
had 2 of them do it. And
Right.
I helped them do it because I don't want to hold someone back.
No,
When they
and-
get to that point, they should go.
I used to be a manager in the car business, and I did nothing but terrible dealerships, the worst on the worst. And I would fix them and leave, and fix them and leave. And I found longevity to an employee is how you treat them. It's not how much you pay them; it's how you treat them. You know, do you give them a day off when they have to do it, or do you help them? Adjust their. I mean, heck, I used to even bring my cashier's kid into work because she didn't have a babysitter. And the owner said, "What are you doing with that kid in here? Get rid of that kid." I said, "No, kid stays right there."
You were taking care of the mother.
Yeah, well, it's all about taking care of your employees. I mean, and I truly believe that. And I bet you if I asked any one of them, they'd say that.
So you have this successful business. You're doing really well. You have great employees. You're off and running. And you got involved in politics. You got involved, with campaigns. You even ran for office for a short time, and you're well known amongst the political crowd. I mean, politics is enormously frustrating. You're dealing with whiners and liars. I mean, it's horrible.
Not even
it's
in that
absolutely
order.
horrible. Yeah. Why would you do that? Why are you doing that to yourself? You could be enjoying the fruits of your labor. What got you involved in politics?
Well, I realized that in modern times, the true power doesn't really come from religion anymore. I mean, religions used to run the world, and then dictators and kings used to run the world. Now the media runs the world. And for 40 years, I've said politicians and news reporters are the people who actually tell people what to think. And people think the way what they used to read the newspaper. I had a saying at one point that if an American wanted to know what they thought about something, they would open up a newspaper and then they'd know. So there was so little original thought. And I saw that in politics as well. There was none. Like 98% of the guys that I met didn't have original thought, and they needed guidance, and they needed the good guys needed help. I got deeply involved in several large political organizations in town. I won't say any names, but the things that I saw happen were bizarre.
For example,
so there was one race, and I won't say what race it was, but the incumbent came in and gave a speech before a big group of donors, heavy hitters. It was my first meeting, and this politician gave a speech and then left. And then the opposition came in and gave a speech. Oh, before the opposition came in, they said, okay, we're going to nominate that person. They hadn't even heard the other person. So I stopped the group and said, does anybody know this person? Out of about 40 people, one other person did and heard that he was a good guy. No one else had heard from him. So I said, how can we nominate the person, the first person, the incumbent, when we haven't even met the second person? Now, they got pretty mad at me for that because I was stopping a process that was already foregone. We're going to endorse, I use the word nominate, we're going to endorse that candidate that just spoke, the incumbent. So I basically forced them because I was on the board of the group, and once you're in a group like that, you can bring up a resolution. So I made a resolution that we have to hear the other person and we have to investigate him. And
that's common sense.
Sounds like things have not changed much.
It hasn't changed at all. It hasn't changed at all. But the bad thing was the two people in the group that promised to go interview that candidate, after he gave his speech, he said some things that were amazingly bad, I thought, about the previous candidate. The two people that volunteered, the president and I think the vice president, to interview that person never interviewed him. They went and interviewed someone else about him that was on the side of the first person. Then they came back and made the recommendation again that we should nominate
the first one.
Endorse the first person. So that was just eye-opening to me.
And these are
big names.
They're big names. These are the people that are getting people elected. And the people that are getting elected are the ones that are truly making decisions that affect your life.
Yes,
I think that sums it up really well. You know, like who these people really truly are. They're not just kind of these nameless, nothings or whatever. But anyway, let's go to a break and then keep talking to Leo.
I'm going home frustrated again.
You always go home frustrated.
I know. PRMI Mortgage. PrimeRes.com/Alpine. Who are they? Well, that is a good question. But if you're in the military and you're looking for help with your VA loan, these are the guys. If you're looking to buy, sell, refi, or maybe even a reverse mortgage, call our local mortgage guy that you can trust. That's Chris Wiley at PRMI Mortgage. For nearly 25 years, Chris has been helping local San Diegans with all their mortgage needs. Give Chris a call, 619-722-1303. or PrimeRes.com/Alpine.
So we're talking to Leo Hamel, my buddy, about brand new sponsor of the show and founding board member of San Diego County Gun Owners. He's describing the horribly fetid condition of politics in San Diego. And what you're describing is, I witnessed it as well. And that's why we designed San Diego County Gun Owners the way we designed San Diego County Gun Owners. You can't buy your way onto the board. We're nonpartisan, so we don't care what party they belong to. We care what they stand for as far as the Second Amendment. A lot of those things that we did was a direct result of what you were saying. Because truly, and the reason we exist is these really, truly, the people that you're talking about, big names, people that you read about in the Union Tribune, they're the ones that fund these campaigns. They get people they get their buddies in office. A lot of it has to do with, I would say that the number one issue in San Diego is development. Don't you think?
I saw, in fact, another group that I belong to. I went to one meeting. They invited me on the board. I went to one meeting and quit immediately after that because a developer did something that was completely inappropriate. He was pushing, again, a candidate that there was a better candidate or a possible better candidate, and they didn't even want to hear about it. They just wanted to push the candidate apparently that the developer liked. And this one developer spoke over there was like 40 people in the room. He just spoke over him, and in the end, they didn't even consider the other candidate.
And the reason the developer likes that candidate is because they'll get their projects approved.
I don't have any evidence of that, but this developer gets many projects done in that candidate at that time, his area.
Right, exactly.
Many projects.
So we decided, hey, you know what? We're going to take, so they're effective, right? These political groups are definitely effective.
They get people elected.
So we decided, hey, you know what? We're going to take the effective parts of these groups. We're going to make sure that we change, I'm going to say corrupt. Maybe that's a heavy Maybe
no, that's a good word.
Okay, and we're going to change
They're probably very accurate.
we're going to change the corrupt part, and we're going to get people elected based on the Second Amendment. That's it. We don't care if the Republican, Democrat, decline to state. We don't care where they stand on development. We just care that they're a viable candidate who cares about the Second Amendment and has high marks when it comes to character. And I think one of the things I didn't anticipate, Leo, is you were talking about how you're in a room with like 40 people, and all the people in the room. I'm not in the same economic class as any of those people, right? I mean, these are high net worth people.
Most of them were more than me too. Way more.
And we're up to about 3,100 members. We're kind of the Joe Lunchbox of political action committees. Maybe I think Carl has a lot of what normal everyday. Carl DeMaio has a lot of normal everyday donors, but other than him, we're one of the few PACs that really truly is kind of the Joe Lunchbox of political action committees. I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of that. That if you can get involved, and make a difference on the Second Amendment. Now, let's talk more about your interest in guns. Were you a collector or a shooter, or what was your interest in the actual firearm?
When I was a kid, I had a Daisy lever action BB gun, loaded from the side, just like a real Winchester, and I loved it. And then my grandfather gave me a .22 Winchester pump, and I used to shoot that. And then my mom bought me a .22 Ruger pistol, and I used to shoot that. That was all before I was 16. Back then, there was way less regulations.
Where'd you grow up?
Yeah, mostly in Lakeside.
Oh, I don't think I realized you were a local San Diego guy.
I was born in Navy Hospital.
And you had a lot of property in Lakeside to shoot, too.
There's a lot of land out there.
Back then.
That's right. Your old man was in the Navy, huh?
Yeah, he was a frogman.
Yeah. Didn't he help somebody out of one of the capsules?
He recovered Wally Schirra and Gordon Cooper.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Apollo, what was that? Apollo?
No, those were Mercury. Those were Mercury.
Mercury.
Okay.
Yeah, he was the guy responsible for bringing astronaut recovery to frogmen and Navy SEALs. Before that, it was done by Air Force Sea Rescue. But they found out that the frogmen could rescue the guys a lot better and a lot faster.
Nice.
Anyway, little story.
So you grew up in San Diego. I'm sure San Diego was a lot different when you grew up.
Well, there's less land to shoot on. A lot less.
What got you in the jewelry business?
Like I said earlier, I got fired from this. A guy hired me on a chance that I could sell jewelry. It turned out I could. Then he fired me because I sold too much. But he paid me for a month to go out and find out something I could do. And I found out that I could buy and sell out of the newspaper. Then it evolved into swap meets and gun shows. And a year or so later, I opened up a little store in North Park. It was 300 square feet, and it just grew from there.
So it's almost like the old garage story, where you make the Seal One product in your garage, and then next thing you know, you got a huge building.
And you said you weren't really into it. You didn't know anything about jewelry at first. You're obviously beyond an expert now. What have you found to be passionate about when it comes to jewelry?
I like watches. I like gemstones. I mean, I love how diamonds have evolved over time. I mean, at first, most diamonds you'd buy were not very well cut. The cutting of the diamond was kind of like the last thing someone looked at. We sort of started the movement in San Diego for really well-cut diamonds. I'd buy diamonds and recut them. You'd make less money, but the diamond would sparkle more. And as time went on, then it became adopted that diamonds had to be cut really well to make them sparkle. Wow. And now it's an industry standard. And I like colored stones. I used to sell a lot of rubies, emeralds, and sapphires and parcels of gemstones. But it all went parallel with, at that time in the early days, with gun shows. What would sell at the gun show is what I was getting into, and people like to buy secondhand jewelry. So we sell a lot of new jewelry. We have quite a few brands. We sell a lot of new jewelry, but the estate and vintage jewelry was always popular at the shows. So, it was very easy to trade a pair of diamond rings for a gun, then sell the gun and buy a watch from a guy and just go back and forth all day long.
Sounds amazing. Like the pawn shop.
The gun shows were like portable pawn shops back then. Because you could just deliver the gun and take the gun.
Yeah, you didn't have to go through a 10-day background and that kind of stuff.
So what do you, we talked a little bit about jewelry, talked a little bit about San Diego County Gun Owners, a little bit about guns. What do you want to see more of in San Diego? And what would you like to see more of when it comes to San Diego County Gun Owners?
I'd just like to see us get bigger, because as we get bigger, we have more voice.
Right.
I remember when we had no voice.
Yeah.
And then I watched the voice grow, and politicians didn't care, and then they started caring, and they started worrying about us. And I think there's politicians that are afraid of us now, and that's a good sign. When politicians are afraid of a group that's a one-issue group, that's a good thing.
Right.
And you said something earlier that made me think of something. The Second Amendment, when you look at a politician, you can ask them about the Second Amendment, and that will, in most cases, identify what kind of person they are.
Yeah, it's a litmus test.
Yeah, do they really believe in the Constitution? Do they really believe in small government? Do they really believe in individual rights, personal responsibility? Self-defense is a personal responsibility thing. When you talk to them about the Second Amendment, you get a real good read on what kind of politician they are.
That's interesting. Do you have like a worst story when it comes to, because you know just about every politician in town.
You're going to put him on the spot.
No, I'm not going to say.
You're not going to do that? All right.
Okay, I need to know that. What's your favorite watch?
I mean, I like Rolex. I like Patek Philippe. I like Audemars Piguet. Those are the three big brands right now. I mean, they're selling for more than retail.
Just like a car.
Like cars.
What is it about a Rolex? A Rolex is that I don't know anything. You know what I mean? Like, what is it about a Rolex? I'm a total layman.
If you have to explain it to him, he'll never understand.
It's not that hard to explain. They're really, really well-made watches that last a long time, and they're really good at marketing. I mean, the three best marketed items in the world are Coca-Cola, which is sugar water, Diamonds, which is just carbon, and Rolex watches. I mean, Rolex is truly one of the most well-marketed brands in the world. You could say ladies' handbags might be, just ladies' handbags. The high-end ladies' handbags are well marketed, but Rolex is well marketed and they're a durable, long-lasting watch.
Wow. So they are hardy. I feel like they're, I don't know. I know nothing, but it feels like.
You don't even wear a watch.
I don't. But if I were wearing I actually have a watch I need you to fix. I need to bring it in.
Bring it in.
If I were wearing, I mean, what minimum $10,000-$15,000 for used?
It used to be a lot less. Now I don't think you can get into a used one for less than $7,000.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So if I'm wearing $10,000 on my wrist, I would be so afraid of bumping it on every. But they're hardy.
They're hardy.
Wow.
They're hard. They're made to last.
Well, didn't they use them in the military? Didn't they issue them to paratroopers?
Well, not to paratroopers, but my dad, when he was a UDT, Underwater Demolition Team Frogman, they issued them what was called a Tudor Rolex, which was their least expensive dive watch, but it was the issue watch.
Right.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because they were so durable.
Right. And they're so they got the Rolex 24-hour. They got Lamar. I mean, that's quite a company.
They are.
Yeah, and you guys are so good at customer service. You really, truly, if you have any interest in any jewelry at all, go to Leo Hamel's. I've sent people to you guys. It's been wonderful. So we have like 2 minutes. There's a story I want you to tell. Maybe try see if you can tell it in 2 minutes.
Okay.
When you were a kid, right, you had a neighbor and he had a sign. You remember this story? And you were like, I got to go see what this guy's about. And
you mean the guy who trespassed on his land?
Yep.
Yeah.
Tell that story real quick.
So I was riding. I had a little mini bike, and I was probably 15 or 16. I was riding out in the real sticks of Lakeside, and I saw a piece of property that was huge. I mean, there was no houses on it. The sign said, "Do not trespass, or I'll shoot you," something like that. I have a similar sign on my property that says, "Trespassers will be shot, survivors will be shot again." Now, that sign came with the property. I didn't put it up. But anyway, when I saw the sign, I knew I had to meet the guy that owned it. So I dragged my mini bike under the fence. I think I had a little 22 in a side pouch, and I drove up this dirt road till I got to his house. And he was the guy. He came out with a shotgun and asked me why I was there. Why was I trespassing? I said, because I loved your sign. He says, but it says don't trespass. Anyway, this guy started my education on the Constitution and the Second Amendment, the First Amendment. And that's how I sort of got into the idea that we need to take responsibility for our future. Politics is one of the only ways to do it anymore. Because the media is controlled by the other side. So that sort of started me on that road.
Now, was it always the intent to get involved in politics, or did you find yourself, hey, I'm successful at business and now I can actually have an impact on politics, or, which came first?
I was always involved, even way before I had the jewelry store. I mean, I was interested. But as I got deeper into it, you start to see that it needs a lot of work. And it can become overwhelming at times how much work it needs. But that's why I like San Diego Gun Owners. We're one issue organization. We don't care what party they are. We just care that they care about the Second Amendment. And if they care about that, like I said, they will care most likely about the other things that you care about.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and
we don't use they and them a whole lot.
No.
Or we don't criticize people just because they're on the other side. We tend to just try to stay on the side of the Constitution, and the Second Amendment comes from the Constitution.
I got to tell you, we just endorsed 4 countywide candidates. One of them's a Democrat, one of them's a declined estate, and then 2 are Republicans. 3 are women. 3 of the 4 are women. We're equal opportunity across the board. We're just concerned about the Second Amendment.
And
That's it.
That's the way it should be.
That's the way it should be. And I think we've been very successful. A large part thanks to your help. You know, I'll tell you real quick, everybody. Met Leo at a fundraiser. John Boehner was there. He was the Speaker of the House at the time. And I got invited to come. It was a very expensive fundraiser. It was a really nice big house. And I was there to meet Leo. And someone said, "Hey, did you meet John Boehner?" And I said, "No, but have you seen Leo?" And they're like, "Yeah, he's out by the thing." Went and met Leo. Said, "Leo, I'm starting this organization." And basically said, "I want in. Let's do this thing."
Hey,
and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
But we also have to throw a plug out for his gym.
Yeah.
Look at Michael.
Well,
How many pounds?
Well, I did. I lost a bunch of weight. I'm not sure there are far better looking people that work out at his gym. I promise.
Yeah,
but it is enormously effective.
But you eat at Denny's and you eat spaghetti.
Well, not anymore. They canceled
See,
it.
No, just that one store. See, Leo had a challenge, and he's working on it.
Yeah, Leo Fit is really, really awesome. It's seriously, I used to be a gym rat back when I was a kid, and got back into strength training with the Leo Fit, and it is enormously effective in a short amount of time.
Pressing 400?
Way more than that, actually. So on their bench, I'm doing over 600.
No kidding.
On the negative side.
No, on the I'll show you.
Positive?
I'm pushing 600.
That's impressive.
Don't make him mad.
Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. You can watch us live every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, right here on our YouTube channel, or if you're in the San Diego area, you can listen to us on 1170 a.m. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform for free. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can help restore and protect the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.